Jordi Alfano. I'm the writer, and I played Andre in the film.
I'm Marco Ragozzino. I directed the film.
Eduardo Pulido, Valentino.
First thing I want to say, how in a comedy do you have me almost tearing up?
Right.
Like, yeah, you guys. This was very interesting. Tell me how you came up with this concept.
So I did that for 7 years of my life. I worked as a male exotic dancer as one of my first jobs in Los Angeles, and it was private bachelorette parties all through Southern California. And like the story of male exotic dancing, it's been told kind of once with Magic Mike, and it's a whole different world that they talk about in that. And I always felt like my experience of it was totally different than what Magic Mike shows. And I wanted to show my version and the reality of what my experience was like.
And so, how did you come up with the right? Because this film has the perfect tone.
Thanks.
To it. In terms of comedy, with that, like I said, that scene with the one guy toward the end, really, I was like, how's this happening? And it was a surprise to me that it especially when he showed the little dog tag.
Inside joke. It's a money clip. And
oh, is it? It was.
Marco predicted that nobody would know what it was because it was debated for days upon days, and but I like the dog tag. I'll go with that too. It's an item of.
But it's an item. Bubba is it like a word? Bubba, like yeah. So how did you decide on coming up with the tone?
Yeah. So I think again the tone is based off of like that. Like pretty much all those three scenarios are scenarios that I went through. I was the new guy that was nervous and had to get talked off the ledge. I was the guy that was complaining about girls smacking his butt and was becoming a prima donna, and my boss had to give me a talking to. Mm-hmm. And then I remember when I quit, I cried. I was on the 405 freeway leaving my boss, and I started crying. And that's kind of where I guess the tone developed from, like those realities. And I guess it's like to me it's I wanted the film to be universal to anyone. It's like if you leave a world that you existed in for 7 years, you get close with the people, and it should be sad, It should be it's like a breakup of sorts, and you're moving on. The one guy's moving on with his life, the other guy's reflecting on the fact that he was important to someone.
Right, because at the end, when you start crying, the obvious thing would just think, oh, I'm just crying over my life. No, you actually help people. Your character actually you help people get through life, and so when you crumpled up the job thing at the end, it's like that was a poignant moment.
Thank you. You have no idea how happy I was. Some people thought I was hiring that guy to become a stripper. So thank you so much for that.
So directing wise, how did you go about, balancing this act of comedy with drama with these amazing actors?
Eddie and I have collaborated pretty regularly over the years, and I think we kind of get each other in that regard, and like the tone that we're going for, and like what we want to get out of this. So I think like that has a lot to do with it, just how we kind of work together. He writes stories about people going through stuff that it doesn't matter what the job is, you identify with it because we all kind of have that struggle. So that one of the things that really that attracted me to this story was, even though they are strippers and that's not a world that most of us have a lot of experience with, they're having like real world issues, and they're just kind of like venting, and they want to just be heard and seen and be acknowledged with like whatever it is that they're going through. And like we all go through that, right? Like we all have. So for me, it was really important that we not just make it jokey, right? Because it does have the tendency, like when you talk about male strippers and things like that, if you're going like, if you're not trying to do the Magic Mike thing that Eddie mentioned, you could run the risk of like just getting a little too silly and too jokey and too, so we didn't want to do that. So it was like, the only moments you get of that are like in the flashbacks where we're just kind of visiting them in their moment real quick, and then the rest of it is, him building up his guys, like he's their surrogate father in a way, and he's trying to get them to be the best versions of themselves and giving them the, like, half therapist, half father figure, half like big brother kind of a guy. And then at the same time, he's going through his own stuff. So it was really, it was tricky to kind of balance the tone a little bit to make sure that we weren't going so far in one direction or the other, But we had a wonderful group of colleagues and filmmaker friends who helped us kind of like look at some rough cuts and give us notes, and we made sure that all the things that we were trying to do were being picked up on, which is great that there are so many things in there that because those were all things that we were like really working hard to nail and make sure that people were like, that's what we want them to respond to and to think about.
Right, and what I really could appreciate is seeing it on a big screen, because I watched it last night on my laptop, which is 13-inch laptop, but seeing it on the big screen is even more enjoyable than now. When I was at home, I will say that I might have a tear might have, but around me, but seeing it on the big screen was even more enjoyable. And speaking of talking somebody off the ledge, explain your experience in because like that opening scene with you and the smacking on the head.
I love that line. I rehearsed it a lot.
So explain your experience in terms of acting in this project.
First off, I gotta say thank you to my guys right here, Eddie and Marco, for giving me the opportunity, for believing in me and giving me a chance to do something different. I love playing the drug dealer, but this was like a breath of fresh air where I could just have fun. And this cast, this crew, it felt like family. It felt like magic, and that's what filmmaking should be.
Right.
So I just, let loose and had fun with it, and I enjoyed this film probably more than any other film I've ever made. And I even called my mom. Shout out to my mom out here, Maria Pulido. While we were doing the bachelorette party, I was in my robe, and we had all the girls out there, and I just FaceTimed her, and I was like, "Hey, mom." And all the girls say hi to my mom, and so I enjoyed this film so much.
So talk about how did this role come to you?
Well, so shout out to my acting coach, John Stanley, with Hot Shot Cell Taping, because he was an exotic dancer himself. So when I showed him the script, he was like, "Oh my God, this is well written." So I had the best acting coach and a great director and writer and crew, and it just, it's destiny. I feel like, that's what our purpose in life is. It's just things that are meant to be, should be, and I'm just grateful I was at the right time, at the right place. And I would love to see something like this get picked up on Netflix, and we could really do a full series.
Right?
And go back to maybe what led up Valentino into this, like maybe we can see the hood rats from San Bernardino. and what happens after this. So I just felt like myself, really. And I feel like that's what acting should be at times, where you're not acting, you're just you get to show who you are. And that's why I felt so natural.
So I want to read this question over here. The setting is both unique and symbolic. How did that specific world shape your character's journey and the stakes that they went through?
When you say the setting,
where it's set, is it because it looked like a strip mall. There was this.
yeah, and so I sent, that's Shri right there, he's our DP. Him and Marco, like I can't hold a camera, I can't tell you anything about cameras, right? So I always outsource directing, and then but I knew Shri from another project, and I was like, you guys take care of that stuff. And they kind of worked with this like tableau of like this, almost like 80s, someone last night was describing as like a Miami Vice type of look. And what I contributed to that though was like I sent them pictures of the office that my old boss had, and it's like in Reseda, in a, you know, one of those dumpy strip malls that you would find in Reseda. And I was like, look, this is the reality, you know, like this is, and then off of that, you know, we kind of went, but it was just, we were trying to, and it's actually at David's office. He got us the space, and we were concerned that it was too nice. Like his office is nice, so we kind of had to like gut it out and try to make it look, you know, like the world would be. It's low rent. This is not, you know, this is not a fancy operation, and he's, you know, probably struggling to pay his bills each month, you know. So that was sort of how we came up with the look. And then like what Marco had said with like keeping it, like he's stuck in time, Andre. So we had his old boombox in the office, kind of like he hasn't, you know, he opened this company 20 years ago and hasn't done anything to update it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this was an experience. And it was something that when I read the premise, I thought, oh, the Magic Mike.
Yeah.
But it was a really nice surprise in terms of the emotional aspect of the characters that you created, and especially yours, the one that you created. It was really well done.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's like I kind of, you know, I like doing that. I like kind of showing macho guys as I know them.
Right.
You know, which is, they're all, you know, everyone's got their problems, and everyone's got emotions, and, you know, it's like we're not, you know, whatever, we're not used to seeing it, or it's not portrayed, but it's like, that's my experience of the tough guys I know and the macho guys I know. It's like there's a more sensitive side. And,
that's what made it relatable.
Nice,
you know,
yeah.
it really made it relatable. It didn't even have to be, you know, male strippers.
Right.
It could have been anything else.
Could have been bartenders.
People are going through midlife crises and questioning their choices and decisions.
Yeah.
You know, that's what made this film really, really heartfelt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes, sir.
You actually did this. You stripped.
Yeah.
On your first job, did you actually smash a girl's head into a lamp?
That did not actually. There's our lovely lady right there.
How many times did we do it?
We did a lot of takes in that.
Like 17 takes.
Like 5. Not 17.
A lot.
There was a lot. She's friends with my wife, but I was like, I got so many favors. I had 36 ladies that showed up for those scenes.
Yeah.
I spoke to every one of them saying like, you know, you're doing me a huge favor, it'll be fun, you know, but it's like, wait, I gotta make these look like the parties that I did. But no, I definitely broke some glass during my time, but I don't think I ever actually knocked over a lamp. And we had balloons get caught in a ceiling fan that broke glass, and I thought the gunshots were going off. So I dropped down to the ground, and then I realized that balloons had gotten caught in the ceiling fan, and the lights were breaking, and I wasn't getting shot at.
Is there any other questions that we have? Yes, sir.
Really great job to all of you guys and the crew. It's such a fun film. As a filmmaker myself, I always love to learn more about like the production process. I'd love to know like when did you write it? How long did it take to like get the crew together, make the film? How many shoot days you had, and then what's been the process like since you finished the film? Like where are you in your festival run? Just give me the full story.
I'll start with the right. So I actually co-wrote with my friend Mike Hitchcock over there. We co-wrote a feature version of this, pre-Magic Mike, and went around town, and it didn't get made, and it always like bothered me that story got told. So I kind of pulled somewhat of the scenes, and some of the characters kind of got pulled into this short. So and then I sat on it for a while. So like the writing was over the course of 15 years, if you really want to say it. But then for the short, a slow year of writing, but probably about 6 hours, if you know what I mean, like that sort of thing. And then, for anyone who writes, and then I brought it to Marco and was like, now what, basically, you know?
And as I mentioned earlier, Eddie and I collaborate a lot, so we've done a few things together. So anytime he has something that he wants to work on, I'm like, yeah, of course, absolutely. I love Eddie's writing, and for the physical production aspect of it, since we are all kind of like friendly and we had an opportunity to shoot in Dave's office, which was, you know, sort of available like whenever, we kind of had the ability to do a pre-light. We had a lot of opportunity to prep. There was a lot of work that was put into like the pre-production aspect, just to make sure that we were being really efficient with our time. And once we did start shooting, it was like go, go, go. And then, you know, one weekend for the office scenes, a Saturday and a Sunday with like a Friday prep, right? I think we did something like that. Yeah. And then when we did the bachelorette party scenes, that was all done in one marathon day, which was, I think, a 12-hour day. I think that we got all that in, but it was like so smooth and such a nice process. Like we did 3 days. We did 3 groups. So we had the one party of the background actors would come in and we would shoot in the morning. Then another group would come in at lunch. We staggered them throughout the day, and it just went so smooth. And everyone, like, I have never had an experience that was like that fun and just smooth, and like there were no issues. Everybody was in a good mood. We were having a good time. We got everyone in and out as quickly as we could, and it was. You know, we didn't have to sacrifice quality either. So it was like, wow, that was a nice shoot day.
Yeah, it was probably the best accomplishment I've had as a, you know, making something where so many moving parts, you know, just like 40 actors on the day basically, and just, you know, not that much time and so much, you know, turnover to make each living room look different, and we got it, you know, and it was smooth, and I was like, damn, now, you know, I normally don't do, you know, I normally do like stuff with just 2 actors, you know, and not that much going on. So.
And then the post was like 6 months.
Yeah.
Because we were editing that thing, like Eddie would come over like an hour for, I don't know, like maybe 4 months or something, like every few days, and we would just like noodle with it, tweak it until we felt that it was like, this is the version, this is it.
It was like, what was the first cut? Miguel, our editor, is right there. It was like, we were like at 17 minutes from what like I wrote, right? And then I think we're down to like 13 minutes. Because I'm like, I just always want to tighten things as much as I can. It drives me crazy when I'm like, I watch something and I'm just like, oh God, get to the next thing.
I highly recommend that if you have a group that you trust and you appreciate their opinion, their creative input, definitely workshop your material before you say it's done, it's final. It's so helpful.
Wait, say that again, because that's important. That's really important, and because a lot of people don't do that, and the quality of the work suffers. And I wanted to say to all 3 of you that it went smoothly because of your leadership.
Thanks. And my wife was raising her hand. We have to give her credit.
I also produced that.
No, she's like I'm very like self-conscious of like I'm making a movie about male strippers. I'm playing one, and I'm asking 36 women to show up. And I'm like, just so you know, we're gonna someone has to smack a butt. So if you're down for that, and like they were amazing. I got a bunch of the ladies are here. Thank you all. But they were all like, so down to to do stuff where I was like, if you're not comfortable, just don't do it. And it's a lot better when it's my wife, kind of wrangling everyone and getting the girls like, come on, get crazy. I'm like, okay, she's saying that, not me.
You create an atmosphere where people really want to work for you, but then they'll work hard.
Yeah.
They'll show up. They'll show up.
That was the goal, yeah. So I've been on the other end of that with people that I don't like and you don't want to help. You're like, fuck this guy. Yeah.
All right. We'll take these 2 questions and then we'll wrap this up. Yes, sir.
So I really enjoy at the end of your film where you put the actors with their, picture them with their name of the actor. I've always love that in film. It might be cheese, but I love it. I love it. Thank you for that. So that was you in your youthful days?
That was, well, be careful how we phrase this. That was me during my stripping days.
Okay, hot. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Well, I want to announce before we wrap this up that your film has won the Outstanding Short Film in the comedy category.